Well, first of all, what I'm going to say to any migrant is, first of all, consider your loved ones. It's not always an easy journey. There is a lot of uncertainties ahead, and you have to be mindful that you may lose your life. I left Cameroon because of political issues. As a result, I finally managed to get myself into the UK. Coming into a new country is not always easy. You have to navigate a whole lot of things, in order to get yourself integrated. The very first thing which came to mind, of course, is to ensure that I had the opportunity or the position where I could provide subsistence for my family, which has to do with the financial element to it. And so I had to look for a job immediately. And I knew that, without having the funds that is required, it could have been a lot difficult. So obviously getting a job is not always easy because the certificates which I had in Cameroon was something that I didn't have any work experience in the UK. However, I started from very noble beginnings, working my way through, and went to university and tried to ensure that I had the necessary skills and knowledge and experience in the working field before I could finally get a proper job in the UK. The statistics show for sure there are a lot of people who've died as a result of this whole thing. I know that it's very difficult back home as well, but people tend to sell land, do all sorts of things for them to travel. My advice to people who want to travel is that it's not easy in Europe as well. It is very, very difficult in Europe, and if you can make ends meet back home, please do. And of course, there are so many people who don't have jobs in this country per se. And so, if it's for economic reasons, it's very difficult. It's not always easy. And we tend to encourage people to stay as much as possible back home because Africa is a good place. And most of us here who've been here for so long, were thinking of relocating, going back to Africa. So the cultural differences between Cameroon and the United Kingdom is there, of course. When you look at the food aspect to it, it is, of course, different kind of food settings. Cameroon is a country that is blessed. We've got so many different, you can name it food. So we have like achu, we have like water fufu and eru, we have like ekwang, we have all those dishes which are absolutely beautiful. It's difficult for you to find them here. So now the food in the UK, first of all, one of the first things which I was so used to was to do with the fish and chips. When I came here, I started working. I usually went out with a couple of work colleagues, and most of the time we used to go and get fish and chips and chicken and chips and all those things, which was massively different. It's not always something that I was used to, but because it was cheap, as I could say, and it was easily available, I always tend to it, and it catered for the time being for what I wanted. Yeah, I really like to reconnect with a couple of friends. One of them is Che Aswing. Yeah, he's based in the United States. It's been over 25 years now that I've not been able to see him for obvious reasons, because since I migrated here, he's not been in this country. So he was in Cameroon and I was in the UK. And also I've also got a friend who is in Australia. Again, the best part of 15 years we've not even spoken to each other. And the friend is called Juice Len, who I was with, a very good friend of mine, my classmate. So these are some of the challenges that migration tends to bring, because if you look at my class in back in the secondary school that I attended, most of my friends are scattered all over the world, and the impact of that is huge. And that just explains the massive level of brain drain and people who've moved out of Cameroon. Spring Aid International Development is a charitable organization that was formed back in 2015. And the whole idea, the aim of Spring Aid International Development is poverty eradication. And so how we do it is basically through education and training. So we tend to provide training opportunities for people who have been in receipt of state benefits for a substantial period of their life. We also make sure that we give them hands-on training and education to move themselves out of poverty and into a more employable kind of an opportunity. Another area in which we cover is to do with health, where you're not healthy, you're not economically productive. So we ensure that mental and physical health is a key priority, especially if you look at the COVID-19 that had just plagued our world. There were a lot of people who mentally, psychologically, they were being impacted massively. So another key element to what we do is entrepreneurship. So if you are from the minority communities and you want to set up a business in this country, you don't know where to start, or maybe like a new migrant who, most of us from Africa, we know what petty trading is like, and when you come to a new country of this sort, it's always difficult to set up a business. Too much administrative bottlenecks, if you like, and so many things to read and understand. So we always tend to help people in that kind of a setting to set up their businesses and become economically productive. Some of the challenges that we tend to face is to get our migrant communities to access our services. That is one of the key things, because most of them are so laid back. They feel like one of a better word, maybe the world is against them. They want to be more laid back. They don't want to be involved in so many different activities, and they are more or less focused with the money aspect of things and thinking about their family, and they don't tend to look after themselves. So we always try as much as possible to reach out to us, some of those communities within the country.